Tubies. This is Psychic Bob. It is so rocking to be with you. Woo. Here we are. It's Monday, the mystical day of the moon. You know, on Mondays, I always feel very mystical. I always want to think about deep esoteric things. And, you know, today it's no different than any other Monday. I'm feeling that way. So I told you guys yesterday. By the way, I want to say thank you. Big shout out to all of you who came out to yesterday's video. We had our Sunday stroll, our Sunday walk, and I took you guys out and showed you some Halloween decorations around the local neighborhood. We had a great time. If you didn't see that video, check it out. It's the video in the queue right before this one. Definitely go see it. So many of you have been writing and said, Psyche Bob, we want to go outside. We want to see the fall leaves. And I certainly had a great time with you doing that. You know, I got a lot of letters from a number of people saying that that my walk videos really helped them. Some of them were housebound people. Some of them had been through surgery. Some of them were elderly people. And they wrote me and they said, Dear Bob, thank you for taking me on the walk. I live in a neighborhood where there's no beauty. I couldn't go outside because I'd get jumped by gangs. That's very sad. Some of you wrote and said, I'm housebound. I can't go out and see the leaves, and your walk helped me feel like I was walking. And I'm so thankful. I am so thankful that my walking videos are helping many of you to get back in touch with the season. And you know, it is autumn. It's a wonderful time to, you know, to do that inner spiritual work. And if my videos can help you do that, I am really thankful for that. Well, here we are. It's Monday, and today we're going to talk about a subject. Actually, it's a subject I've talked about before here. It's the subject of the fairy star or the elven star. Now, about 4 years ago, I did a video about this. I'm going to put the link to the original video below because that has a lot of information in it that I think you'll find helpful. So today I thought what we do is touch in a little bit on some other aspects of the fairy star. That maybe some of you been thinking about or want to kind of contemplate on. So anyways, today you'll notice I'm actually wearing one of my fairy stars. This is my new one that I just recently got. And you can check this out here. Can you see that? It's a 7-pointed star. Now, what's interesting is some people are going to say, what, is that a pentagram? No, it's a septagram. You can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. Now, just so you can compare, here is my pentacle. This is 5-pointed star, and that's 7-point. They look similar, but you can clearly see there are more points in the fairy star. And, you know, the fairy star is a wonderful, powerful, magical symbol. A lot of people don't know about the fairy star, but if you're Wiccan long enough, you'll eventually encounter this. There are some Wiccans who have adopted this as their sacred symbol in place of the pentagram. And really both, I think, are equally valid for symbols of Wicca. Now, there are branches in Wicca known specifically as fairy Wicca. And we'll come back to that in just a few minutes. But, you know, any branch of Wicca can work with the fairies. In fact, if you guys remember, I have this book out called Psychic Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom. And I have a chapter in here. In fact, maybe we'll just take a look at this. This talks about different types of Wicca. Here it is. It's from my chapter, What Type of Witch Are You? Let me just show you. Here's a picture of a witch. She's got her little elixir bottles there. She's in front of the window. You can see outside the stars and the moon. And on her wall back there, she has hanging a pentacle. But you could equally have a fairy star as well hanging on the wall. They're both, as I said, equal in my opinion. But I thought maybe before we get into all this, I'd just kind of touch in on different types of Wicca. Okay, so hold on. Psychic Bob got to put on his glasses. You I tell you, it's karmic. When I was a kid, I used to laugh at my dad for wearing glasses. I go, ha ha, you're old. And look, here I am after 40, and I'm wearing glasses. Is karma. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to read from my book here. What type of witch are you? No matter when you take up Wicca, at some point you may find yourself wondering just what your path is. There is no one right way to be a witch. Some paths you might explore are the following. Now, just before I get into this is not every type of witchcraft. This is just a few to consider. Okay, our first one, see, I've set this up in chart form, so it breaks it down section by section. Green Witch. This path focuses on herbal magics and woodland rituals, often including fairy belief, also called kitchen witch and hedge witch. The next path, Sea Witch. A sea witch is in love with the ocean and the beach, working with the energy of the tides and sea elements such as salt, shells, and driftwood. This is a nature-centric path. By the way, I'm going to just add in here, I didn't put it in the book, but sea witches also work with the fae. They work with the fae of the sea, which are commonly known as mermaids and mermen, merpeople. So each of these paths have fairy elements. So the green witch has fairy, also the sea witch, which actually, if I do a future release of this book, I'll add that. Another path is animal whisperer witch. Animal whisperers focus their craft on the healing of the bodies, minds, and spirits of animals. Most have a pet familiar and totem animal spirit who guides them in their work. Eclectic witch. Eclectic witches blend many different Wiccan/pagan traditions, as well as incorporate aspects of other religious paths to work their magic. A liberal, all-encompassing path that seeks to embrace the common elements in all faiths. Celtic witch. Drawing from the spiritual truths of ancient Ireland and the British Isles, this path reveres the ancient Celtic gods and fairies. Elements such as Arthurian legend can be found here also, such as invocations to Merlin and Morgan Le Fay. Now these, remember, are just a little brief synopsis. The actual paths go much more deeper than that. But this is just to get your mind thinking about how you might think about your witchcraft. So here again is my picture. Isn't that cute? There's a witch making her elixirs on her little altar beneath the moon. I did this picture. I did all the drawings in this book. So, it got me thinking about the fairy path, because I really have come to love the fae, the fairies, and I do oftentimes wear this star, the Wiccan, or the fairy star. It's called the fairy star, and that can be spelled a number of ways. And it also is known as the elven star for the elves. And the elves are also a branch of the fae, or the fairies. And, it's a really wonderful symbol because it has so many meanings. Each of the points have a meaning. So, for example, here are some of the meanings of the points. First point, sun. Second point, moon. Third point, sea. Fourth point, wind. Fifth point, forest. Sixth point, spirit. And seventh point, magic. You see, isn't that wonderful? So we've got the sun, the moon, the sea, the wind, the forest, spirit, and magic. And that's what's accompanied, I can't speak today. That's what you find in the elven star, the fairy star. Very powerful symbols. And I really like to think about that, because when I look at the star and I think of all these different energies that it invokes, that means that actually if we want to work with the fae, where do we find them? In the natural elements. So, when we're out under the sun, the fae are present with us. When we're out under the moon, the fae are present with us. When we're at the sea, the fae are present with us. You know, I've been to a number of Wiccan circles over the years, and it's wonderful because a lot of the Wiccan groups do invoke the fairies and they make an offering to them as part of the ritual. Um, I do believe in the ancient ways of the Fae. I do think they're around. You know, I've done some spells working with this star, and in fact, in the video link below, the original video, I teach how to make a fairy charm to put in your house. But even if you don't want to do that, if you like the symbol, you might want to get one to wear. Actually, I have two of them. This is my newest one, but a few years ago when I did that other video, this is my other one. And they're both beautiful. This one's a little more stylized, you can see, and it's got designs around it. And this fairy star has the intersections of the lines. It's a little different. But they're both seven-pointed, and they're both beautiful. Isn't that wonderful? So there you go. So, the fairy stars are wonderful. So if you're one of these Wiccans and you're saying, Bob, I feel drawn to the fairy star. Can I wear that instead of the pentacle? Absolutely. Of course you can, and it's truly validly Wiccan. There are a number of different groups that work fairy magic. In fact, as we were talking about that earlier, here are some books that deal with fairy Wicca. And this is written by Kizma K. Stepanich. And this is put out by Llewellyn. I don't know if these are still in print. These are kind of old. They're about 20 years old. But it's called Fairy Wicca. It's actually a 2-book series. This is book 1, and this is book 2. And they're red and green, which I think is appropriate for elven colors, But the book 1 outlines different types of fairies. It goes through how to set up altar to the Fae, different offerings, the history of fairies, people's experiences. And then this one gets into actual like rituals, how to do a fairy circle, how to do spells with the Fae. Very, very powerful book. It talks about divination forms, attire and tools. They both have beautiful pictures in here. I just think it's wonderful, It talks about the wheel of the year, the art of shape shifting. Okay, look how thick these books are. They're like 2 inches thick, so you're definitely gonna get your money out. I bought both of these from a bookstore called the Thrift Bookstore. They weren't that expensive. They're old. You can see they're yellowing. But I recommend these for an insight on some more about fairy magic. The interesting thing, the one thing they don't seem to talk about in here, which I find very strange, is I don't hear them do any talk about the fairy star. And maybe I just haven't come across it yet. But I've read most of book 1. I'm working on book 2. But either way, you can look up the fairy star. And I'm going to put up here some images of the fairy star for you to look at. Take a look at these. So as you can see, comes in a lot of different forms. And if you say, Bob, I'm struggling with money, I can't afford to buy a big fairy star to wear or a plaque, well, why don't you go on the internet and find an image and just print it out? And that way you can put it up in your altar and you'll have the face star with you, you see. Again, I'm going to put the link below to my previous video about this, which covers other aspects of it as well. But I think it's important that people find a sacred symbol. And if you're somebody who's working on a spiritual path and maybe you're just discovering the Fae and you don't know a lot about them, you definitely want to get a fairy star. And you can claim this as your sacred symbol. There's a branch of Wicca called Blue Star Wicca. And they studied the fairy faith as well. So there are different branches. Now, in the Blue Star Wicca, they don't believe in self-initiation. You have to be part of a coven. So, I'm a big believer in self-initiation. And if you like working with the Fae, you can, develop your own fairy faith. One of the things that's important with the Fae is to treat them with respect. A lot of people have this belief, and I think it comes from the Victorian times, that the Fae are just these little wispy things that float around. Oh no, don't make that mistake. Many of the Fae, and if you read these books I recommend, they talk about how many of the Fae are actually life size. When we talk about elves, they're not just little, 3-inch high people. Elves are actually as large as humans. And the elven population at times has interbred with the human population. And there are many people on the earth that are believed to have elven blood. In fact, if you explore Rh negative blood and also O bloodlines, you will find that they are believed to descend from an ancient race of the Fae. This is controversial to say the least, but it does seem to point to that. And there are many people who believe that people with Rh negative blood and also O blood have a connection that is, in a sense, otherworldly, and in many cases point to the Fae. My own family bloodline, in fact, comes from Ireland, and I have heard it told in my family that we do have connections with the Tuatha De Danann, which are the ancient people of Ireland, which are believed to be the fairy race, and some of them are elven. So I myself do believe I carry within me a little bit of that Fae blood. Interesting. I look human. I mean, I'm human. I don't have pointed ears, not that I know of. But there is an interbreeding between the elven people and the humans. So I have been told that I'm connected to a bloodline that does go back to that. So I am, in a sense, part elven. So I think for my heritage, to honor my Celtic roots, I'm going to be wearing the fairy star a lot more, because for me it is a sacred symbol, but it's also a symbol of my heritage, and one that I feel drawn to, you see. So you might want to explore this sacred symbol. I'm going to put a few more up here for you to look at. Take a look at these. So as you can see, the elven star, the fairy star, takes a lot of different forms. Anyways, again, see my video below. It has even more detail in it. But today I just want to talk on the idea of the star, what it looks like, what the points mean, and how you can incorporate it into your life. As I said, you can wear it. You can print out a picture of it, frame it, put it up in your altar area or in your home. If you're really crafty, you might be able to, carve one out of wood, or do wood burning as well. Another way to bring that sacred symbol into your life. The interesting thing I found about the Fae star is that you have to really be called to it. It's not like every Wiccan's going to say, oh, I want the fairy star. Most Wiccans really honor the pentacle. I love the pentacle. I don't really see it as I have to choose one or the other. I wear both. And you are certainly allowed as a Wiccan to wear either the pentacle or the Fae star or both. So here's my pentacle and my fairy star. In fact, I might put them on the same chain. That might be cool to do too. And wear both of them. So, but there are, as I said, some people who will feel so deeply drawn to that star that they wear it exclusively and incorporate it in their home and altar exclusively. And that's fine as well. Also, I was going to tell you another aspect, which I forgot earlier, the Fae stars. It's believed that it may well serve as a portal to the Fae realm. In fact, On some lists, they claim that one of the points is the portal to the fairy door. So one of the points could be, instead of one of the other elements may be listed as the portal. Some say that the center, where all the points cross, in the middle, it's like a septagram there, that middle hole, is actually the portal to the Fey realm. And I can tell you when I meditate, I do feel like this opens a doorway for me to the realm of the Fae. And so, if you want to explore going to the fairyland, study this symbol, meditate on it, go deep within, let it open and be a doorway for you. I think it's very fascinating. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to bring that to you today. I hope you'll watch the earlier video again, link below. And tell me in the box below, have you ever seen the fairy star or the elven star? Have you ever worked with it? Do you wear one? Tell me your thoughts. What are your experiences? Maybe this is the first time you've ever heard of it. I'd love to hear that as well. Say, wow, Bob, I never heard of this. Tell me that too. I'm always curious to know, when I help people find something new they didn't discover. And that's always nice to hear about. So anyway, share your thoughts or your experiences working with the fairy star or the elven star. Or maybe you have a different name for it that you call it by that I don't know. But these are the names I know. Anyway, share that with me as well. I am so glad you guys are here. I love you. Blessings to you. Thanks for being here. Keep it here at Spirit Channel. We got more to come. Tomorrow is Tuesday, and you know what that means? Messages from the spirit world. That's right. You don't want to miss it, so make sure to be here. And if you didn't see yesterday's video, go check that out. Take a walk with me. And if you got time today, swing by my website, pick up this book, Psychic Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom. And if you already bought that, we've got other books over there. We've got Messages from Rose, which that's from our Saturday night seance. We always talk about that. And we've got Ouija Mysteries as well, which is a wonderful book for this, especially for Halloween time. So we've got all of these reading options for you, and you can get any of these over at robert-hickman.com. Well, guys, listen, thanks for being here. I love you. Keep it here. Like this, favorite, hit subscribe, be part of our channel. We'd love you to be here. And share your comments below. We'll see you soon. Blessed be.